In this video, I will demonstrate the butterfly haircut technique. This is a lovely cutting method that creates layers at the front, making it easy to style beautifully to the side with longer layers at the back. You can also see a coloring technique here. This features a face frame with a balayage technique, and this video is already available on my YouTube channel. If you want to order the products I use in my Kis video, it's very easy to do so via the Kis app. But for now, I'd say enjoy watching.
Typically, I would walk around with my doll head to showcase the department, but I forgot to capture that. Instead, I divided a pony party and then simply created two planes. One left and one right, I pinned them. I begin by cutting the first section and projecting everything. I project everything to a fixed guideline, thus I direct all the hair to the middle. This way, they get hair on the outside that is further away than on the inside, and I immediately achieve the layering I want for that butterfly haircut. So I cut one section of the head first and then the next one. So I simply cut away one section. When you go to cut this hairstyle for your client, you could cut both sides simultaneously, but I'm starting with one side first as it's easier to capture on camera. With the butterfly haircut, I want to achieve a strong layering at the front, allowing me to elegantly blow dry it back, so you really get that butterfly sensation in the hair. Well, I'm projecting everything to the center, meaning the point where I cut. It sits directly in front of the nose. Perhaps it's somewhat difficult to see in the image, but it is truly positioned in the center of the face. You stand before the client when you are going to cut this specific haircut. The line I create is a vertical line, and I also follow the angle of my fingers down. So, where I'm cutting, I project the hair straight to that imaginary line. I take a section each time I cut. And that's about a section of, I think, 2 or 3 centimeters wide. Look, this varies for each client. As long as you see your guideline, the thickness of your section is good. Look, I can see it very well now, and I'm also connecting it nicely. This is a very distinct cutting line because you project everything to that imaginary vertical line on both sides and cut everything to that. The only thing to keep in mind when doing this in the salon is to raise the client's chair high enough so you stand right in front, and that you check every time to check if their head is positioned straight. Because from experience, I know that when you cut this way on your client, they tend to look down constantly. When she looks down with her chin down, your line also changes. So every time you cut, you tell the client to lift their chin, or I always gently lift the chin with my fingers. This way, I know the head is upright. By projecting everything to that fixed guideline, you'll see that the length at the back keeps getting longer because the distance is further away. This results in a V shape at the back. You can leave it like this for the client, but I'll trim it straighter later. But that really depends on what the client desires. The tricky part of this cutting technique can be that you really don't know how to hold the hair more securely between your fingers. That's why I take a section each time to keep everything clear for me. And if you pay attention to my finger position, I cross them a bit, because when I keep my fingers side by side and have to hold all that hair, it can slip out between my fingers. By lightly crossing your fingers, you have a better grip on the hair you're working with. You will soon see that when I've completely cut one side and I brush it down to make sure you get that strong line at the front, that you truly possess that strong layering and that you genuinely retain some longer lengths at the back. That's typical of the butterfly cut. So I'm now completely finishing it up with my scissors, you know. And at the back, you can see that the short length is coming off, but the ends are also getting thinner. At the top, around the bangs, the hair will be the heaviest and thickest. In just a moment, I will be using a thinning shear to take away some of the heaviness from that area. Look, you can see I've finished in that V shape, Look, if that's what your client desires, you can leave it like this, but I'm opting to cut it straighter now, especially since I'm working on a doll head. The bottom is always thinner to make a straight cut. I use the coarse side of my comb with the comb control method. I don't want to pull too hard on the hair. This way, I create a straight line, and the relation at the front is still visible enough. When you leave the hairstyle like this, it's still too heavy in the front. You really want to use that blow-drying motion to blow the hair away, capturing that butterfly feeling. What I do is from front to back. I grab my cutting shears and I run my thinning shears through it. Why? This gives me shorter hairs in the front, which push the longer hairs away, making it easier for the client to blow dry. You will do this on both sides shortly, but I will hold the past firmly, I will comb it out of my way, and then my cutting shears will go in at an angle, and then it will be from... They sometimes ask, how often do you go through it? However, you must truly feel. You need to release that blunt edge a little, and you should ease the heaviness somewhat. So this way, you go through it until you feel, yes, this can be styled beautifully. Despite having trimmed this entire section, you'll find that at the back, you definitely don't have to use your thinning shears on it, since 9 out of 10 customers really have some fine hair at the tips. And then you'll see that the layers really flow nicely into each other. Once you've completed the haircut for this look, you'll blow dry it for your client, and you'll need to take a moment to explain to them how to shape it. So, you begin with a styling product, and I am currently opting for the Kera mousse to apply it. You definitely need a product for strength, for the blow drying you'll apply. And soon you'll see that I'm a real hairstylist because I just wipe the excess product on my clothes, which I think we all do in the salon. Alright, so I'm going to wrap up that pony, and I'm genuinely beginning to delve into that section. Sometimes I also just give the client the brush and the blow dryer to help them learn the right way to blow dry. Look, because you really need to pull it forward heavily, curl the ends, split the pony section in two, and then blow dry one side to the left, and then you'll blow dry the other side to the right. And that's a skill you really need to master, and it's important for the client too. One suggestion is to make use of Velcro rollers so that the client can allow their hair to cool down. You might have seen that this doll head already features a color technique. Specifically, it is the Teddy Brown Blonde, which includes a face frame and balayage highlights. I've already posted this video on my channel, so if you're curious about the color technique, you can see it on my channel. I use Kera spray before I use my curling iron. I'm using a very large curling iron because I want to create that slight backward wave. So I first use Kera spray, which is a very light working spray. And the heat from the iron helps it hold its shape better. I take a vertical section, and then I let it slide through. I don't want any curl at the roots. I really want the ends to curl back to achieve that butterfly look. When you show this to the client or let her use the curling iron, you must always tell her that if she has a curling iron with a clip, the clip should be at the front, so she can make a backward curling motion. So when you do one side, the clip should be at the front, but when you switch to the other side, if you started on the right and then go left, you'll need to turn your curling iron around to ensure that the clip is at the front, so you can create the backward curling motion. I do a total of 8 sections. I do the whole cut. And once you've explained this to the client, it will really hold its shape until her next wash. I'm once again flipping it around, placing the clip in front, then twisting it back and allowing it to cool down. You go through it roughly with your hands and fingers, and then you end up with the cut right there. So I'd say, good luck with it, and I'll see you again on my YouTube channel.